Friday show here at May 16th Studios featuring analyst hole Matt Moscardi. That's well named, Matt. You are a bit of an a-hole. On today's weekly wrap-up, a knight takes a knee at United Health Group to avoid the boomeranging CEO.
Oh.
Anti-woke shareholder proponents mad at the world.
Yeah.
And the Harley-Davidson board sips champagne with ISS. I like champagne. Yay. Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free. I always get messed up there, though, Matt, because I read it as it's the only platform that's measuring board power, connections, and performance, and I feel like you always read it as it's the only one doing it for free. But which is it? Is it which part should I be emphasizing?
Why does it have to be one or the other? Can't it be both?
That's the way my brain works. Like I don't know. I can't.
I didn't realize you were that binary.
I just think it's remarkable when I read that sentence that anyone is measuring director performance, because I don't think anyone else does it really. I mean, I know you've shown me some companies that sort of kind of do it, but they're not really doing it.
Well, you know what I did? I asked the people at FreeFloat Analytics to like who their users are, like who's looking at this free data, because I was curious. And you know, there's a couple of like regular people. I would call you regular. You're pretty regular, right?
I'm an analyst type. Right.
But the other people who are looking at it are massive institutional investors. Like, if I named them, you would recognize every single name that I said. Global institutional investors. And without irony, there are people from Glass Lewis and ISS who are actually looking at the data.
Well, why wouldn't they?
I don't know that they're using it based on some of their recommendations, but they are looking at it. That is for sure. Do we want to go? Let's do some stuff. What do you have today? What are you doing?
Come on, you know what I have. I got story of the week. Come on. All right, actually, I got it. It's pretty easy this week. I got very very governance-y things to say, which is good. This is my wheelhouse, and at least the first three are actually kind of compelling governance-y stories. Let's start with the United Health Group. To no one's surprise, I don't know how he lasted this long. I think they must have probably tied a rope around his ankle, or maybe they tied his shoelaces together to keep him there for a while before the ship just like burnt down. But United Health Group CEO Sir Andrew Whitty, he's knighted after
Sir,
all.
that's right,
Yeah.
Sir.
Steps down for personal reasons?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
What the hell does that mean?
Well,
Isn't everything personal? Isn't everything?
We do know what it means. And it wasn't as personal as it would appear.
Tell me why. Why wasn't it as personal as it would
Unless
appear?
the personal reason was being investigated for fraud, which
Well,
I guess is personal.
This came out actually after the announcement that he stepped down. United Health Group is facing a criminal probe by the U.S. Department of Justice for potential Medicare fraud related to its Medicare Advantage program. The company is also dealing with a civil fraud investigation and has suspended its 2025 financial forecast amid rising medical costs. Now, I got to tell you, anytime I announce any criminal probe or any
probes
entity
at all
looking
really
into any corporation or executive in the next 4 years, it's a remarkably malfeasant situation. It's very it's like I'm imagining like on Law and Order or CSI when they walk into a murder scene and it's really smelly and gross. That's how bad it has to be for the Trump administration to notice.
Well, that's the context here.
Because I have tagged so many articles, Matt, about the SEC dropping
Every case.
Everything. They drop everything now.
The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which was largely dissolved and then kind of sort of reconstituted
By
but not
Elon
really.
Musk, yeah.
They dropped their lawsuit into like Capital One's like unpaid interest for years on accounts, right? That was like black letter law. Like they just were like, nah, whatever. If they're investigating this, well, there's something. There's got to be something happening, right? Like that's not good.
And here's the extra governance-y twist of this, which is nauseating mostly to people like me, is that first of all, we have a boomerang CEO in effect. Steve Hemsley comes back. He stepped down in 2017, but never really went away. We always warn people about when the former CEO is on the board, when he's the executive chair, just keep your eye on him because he may or may not come back and be CEO, which may or may not be good for leadership or communication in the boardroom. Who knows? But he's back, and what's worse for shareholders, really, and this is stuff to consider when you're voting next time, is that they're giving him a $60 million option award with no performance measures attached, meaning that if the stock just goes up, which I think it's already going up, he's just going to make a boatload of money just for sitting there. Because, look, the stock market goes up. This is why we warn people against these type of options, because the stock market can just go up and the executives will benefit, even if they suck at their jobs. Yeah, you clearly want to say something.
No, this is like a very 2006 kind of pay,
governance story,
right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Isn't it like this is old school?
Old school. Well, he is old school, right? He has been there. He was formerly CEO many years ago, right? He's the one who they claim is responsible for the rise in their stock price.
Is he not also executive chair prior to just being renamed?
Yes.
So as executive chair, now you can tell me how wrong I am about my feelings about this. Does he not get effectively executive compensation? He was already the highest paid person on the board because he's the ex-CEO, he's an executive chair. I'm pretty sure his pay was already substantial enough where you would say, okay, does he need $60 million to do the job for maybe 6 months? Like, or is this a permanent position and there's no strings attached to this? It's very confusing.
What I'm not aware of is he's not on the table, named executive officer tables. He's not one of the 5 highest paid officers. So, but he was he was executive chair, making an executive salary. He was an employee of the company. We know that.
But he got if you look on the director compensation table, all the other directors get $370,000 a year, right? Their total comp comes to like 400-ish. Except for Hemsley, who makes double that because he gets double the stock awards because he's an ex-executive. It's not because he's chair. Like, you don't get double for being chair. You usually get a stipend, like a slight stipend for being chair. Not to mention the fact that these directors are monstrously overpaid. Like when you look at the numbers, the compensation table gives them roughly $350,000 to $400,000 a year to show up, like a dozen times a year. But that doesn't include, that's not their realized pay. The stock awards are usually 1 year vesting awards. They are going home with way more than that. As we know from Tesla, right, Robin Denholm has pulled in more than $500 million so far on her Tesla stock. She's almost a billionaire just for being chair of that board, right? These people make more than it says on that table.
Yeah, it's worth noting here that he already he currently controls over $300 million worth of United Health stock. Although I will say that that was worth about $700 million a month ago. So again, they just found a very clever way to re-enrich him, because I think it's probably pretty clear that if United Health figures out this situation, which they will, their stock eventually going to go back up. So they're giving him options that are right now at a very depressed level, right? I mean, they haven't been this low for years, the stock price. So it is bound to go back up a bit after it kind of clears its throat, right? I mean, that's as these things are. So I don't know why you wouldn't at least attach performance hurdles, other than the fact that Helmsley clearly controls the board. He controls the compensation committee, and he basically probably told them what package he wanted.
And just as an FYI, just in case investors have forgotten, he stepped down in 2007 as the CEO?
Oh, that was 2017.
Oh, was it 17? Well, while he was CEO, he was involved in backdating stock options so that he got paid more.
Right. Well, there you go. He
so
loves stock options. Yeah.
There's nothing better than a stock option with no strings attached for this guy. Come on.
All right, that's the first story. I don't know why shares are like doubly paying there. Okay. This is a big one. I don't know how much time you want to spend on this one. A Kohl's. This is the headline. A Kohl's board member. She actually has a name. I know it's strange, but
What?
not
Since
all
when?
executives and directors are just nouns. They actually have names. A Kohl's board member resigned because she was continually disappointed by governance and a lack of transparency. I love that. Continually disappointed.
Continually. Yeah.
So
That's
her
good.
name is Christine Day. She was the compensation committee chair. She resigned on May 5th. And again, this is after. So we covered on last week's program that Ashley Buchanan was essentially fired for having an improper relationship with his girlfriend. That was last week. Then we hear about Christine Day, who stepped down. Now, in a nutshell, Matt, and I'll let you expand on this if you want. In a nutshell, it sounds like she was angry because she's not angry at ISS, who recommended a vote against the pay plan at Kohl's that she authored. What she's angry about is that her own board chair, Michael Bender, would not let her respond to ISS. So that sounds like where the anger started. Maybe, or who knows? Maybe when ISS and Glass Lewis makes these announcements, maybe it embarrasses these directors. Maybe the compensation chairs take it very personally. You know what I mean? And
Well, it doesn't turn into votes against them, so I'm not sure
that's
exactly.
true,
Yeah.
but maybe they think that people like Matt Moscardi and Damian Rollis are paying attention. And they're like, "Oh God, Christine Day can't write a pay policy."
That's likely. That's the likely.
But
reason.
here's her quote. So the fun part of the story is of course Cole said, "Okay, she resigned, but there's no disagreements. She's just leaving, right?" But then Christine Day actually did something which we never see. She actually emailed the board back and basically asked these emails to be part of the new filings, the amended filings, saying, among other things, that it would not be accurate to say I have no disagreements. Unfortunately, I have been continually disappointed with the level of governance process. I've never seen anything like this. Okay, then she goes on to talk about board chair Michael Bender, who I think took over last year as chair. He's been on the board for a while, but he just took over chair last year. She said, quote, "There is no delegation to committees or chairs. Michael handles everything."
Handles in quotes.
In
handles.
quotes.
Yeah.
Maybe speaks to one person or two. Then, again in quotes, tells everyone what the decision is. Some people know more than others, leading to board members feeling alienated, out of the loop, and worse, developing a culture where real discussions rarely occur. I mean, Christine Day is basically my hero of 2025. This is always the inside baseball I'm always looking for. You know this happens. I'm not saying
Everywhere.
Okay, I'm sure there are boards that run really effectively, and this is why one of the reasons why I promote diversity, especially diversity in leadership, is one thing I've noticed in my experience at workplaces is just having different kinds of people in these meetings, especially people with emotional intelligence in charge, actually helps things run smoother because they include all voices. It's just one of these remarkable things about people who are emotionally intelligent is that they don't dominate meetings. They let everyone talk, even if they're a bit more quiet. Anyway, this is the news out of Kohl's. I mean, Kohl's has been a gift of governance craziness. And okay, let me just put the cherry on the top on this story, Matt. Again, this is like the gift that keeps giving to me personally. On top of all this, they had an annual shareholders meeting 2 days ago. So we actually get to hear what investors think of all this, right? Because this is an embarrassment. It's a mess. Kohl's has been a mess for many years now. This is their fourth CEO in 3 years. This is their third CEO in 6 months, who's the current interim CEO. And here's what shareholders had to say. The average director support was 92%.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And Michael Bender, his support was 95%. Although the one thing that they were angry about was pay. And it's not clear if they're actually angry, if they're actually doing their due diligence, because, credit to ISS, they said no on pay. So a lot of the people listened.
Ooh,
but
credit to ISS.
Well, I'm just saying, like I love a no vote on pay because there are so many heinous pay packages. So I will applaud any proxy advisory when they finally look at some of these pay packages and have a point of view. But what I don't understand, what I repeat all the time on these shows, is why does this not at least trickle down to, at a minimum, you gotta get the board chair and the compensation committee chair, right? Or maybe even the full compensation committee. But you gotta target somebody, right? So anyway, that's what's going on at Kohl's. I don't know if you want to add anything else.
Oh, I do want to add that the lowest vote getter, Michael
up on
Bender's now
coffee.
the interim CEO of Kohl's, but the lowest vote getter after all of this was someone named Yale Cossett, who
Yael.
is the chair of the nominating and ESG committee.
Oh.
And didn't
Well, I would be mad at the nominating committee too, honestly.
there seems to be a
I'd
lot
be
of
mad
things
at
to be
everyone.
mad
I'd be
at.
mad at everyone. Yeah.
Like there seems to be a lot of things to be mad at, but is that guy the one who should have the lowest vote in this situation?
I think look, honestly, I would have targeted of course the head of pay committee. I would have targeted the board chair. I would have targeted the nomination committee chair. Absolutely. This board
Absolutely.
has been screwing up because for years this is not a new board either, right? Haven't they
Okay,
been
but
kind of hanging around for a while?
just prior, was Michael Bender not the chair of this board?
Oh no, I'm not saying that you shouldn't also be
Okay.
angry at him. Yeah.
So when they chose the CEO, Michael Bender's been there since 2019. When they chose the CEO twice, or like, was it not him also? Well, I just don't understand how the highest vote getter is, the lowest vote getter is one guy, but the highest vote getter is like totally like he's the second. Bender's the second highest vote getter. Like,
He's also
why?
one of the more long tenured directors. He's only been there for 6 years.
The
but
whole thing
still,
is very confusing.
Yeah.
There's no logic to any of these votes. Not to mention the fact that every vote was above 90%, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
Doesn't matter.
Everyone.
What about John Shilfsky? He's been there since 2011. I mean, he's overseen every disaster at Kohl's. You'd think that at a minimum they'd be like, "Come on, John, what are you really contributing here? I mean, what's do we really need your help?"
And
All right,
when I said that Cossett is the head of the nominating committee, that is following the annual meeting. He becomes the head of the nominating committee.
All right.
So he was the chair of
I'm
he's the
guessing
chair of
Bender-
the audit committee currently.
Maybe Bender formerly had that role. We'd have to look at last year's proxy.
No, it was Schlifsky who had that role.
Oh well, so again, I mean, how he's not a
I
target?
don't understand. I
Because
don't understand.
that would take like a Zen level understanding of governance, like a matrix
No.
level understanding that you would have to open a current proxy. You might have to go to freeflowanalytics.com. You might have to open last year's proxy. You might have to do a little bit of comparing.
You might have to read some words. That's
Yeah.
all it. That's
But
all it really
I'm
requires.
willing to help anyone out here. I mean, reach
With
out
reading?
to Free
Yeah.
Flow. Yeah, I'll help with anything. All right, that's the second big story. The third story. God, so many juicy governance stories this week. How about this headline? John Tyson joins Tyson Foods board 9 months after criminal charges led him to step down as CFO. I've never in my life have I seen any headline
love
like
it.
that.
I love it.
So,
but
yeah.
Olivia Tyson also joined this board, right? Like,
Yeah, but
this
that's
is
not-
like
that's
a
not as
Tyson
fun.
family
That's
affair.
not fun. Okay, so this is the fourth generation of the Tyson family. Olivia Tyson and John R. Tyson. They are the
Yes, R. Randall.
children of Chair John H. Tyson, of course, who's the third generation of Tyson owners. All this to really prove that controlled companies like this, family firms, they're not actually public companies; they're private companies. So. I don't know why anyone. I don't know why they'd even be allowed to be on the tradable market. Maybe they can move to Texas. They can go to like the Texas listing exchange because it does seem very Texas. These type of companies, right, where they don't actually care what shareholders think about anything. So, if you're a Tyson Foods shareholder, I just want to remind you as I'm talking, you actually have no input over any of this. So don't even try. You actually can't vote him out. So
It's cute though when they try. I like it when they try.
now, here's a weird thing, too, that I noticed about this one is that despite the fact that he's part of the controlling family, this is a very wealthy family, although this has nothing to really even do with money, I suppose, but they're going to be paid like all other non-employee directors, so they're getting the full $300,000 a year. that you don't see that very often. I mean, you don't because the weird thing is that John R. Tyson officially called an employee of the company according to the filing. Employee directors, executive directors, they don't get paid for the director
Yeah, but
work.
his only role at the company is to be the director, so they had to give him something.
No, they didn't. He's part of the Tyson, fortune. I mean, he should be. I mean, really, honestly, this sounds like a joke. He should be paying them for letting them like they're resurrecting his career, right? You know what I mean? I mean, who else would take him? Who else is going to take this guy?
I, I, I there's no place, but he does have some credibility in as much as when he started at Tyson Foods, he was the chief sustainability officer.
How? We don't. No one knows how. He got his MBA, I think, from Harvard.
Maybe he could go lead sustainability investing at like UBS or something like that. You don't know.
We can take him. He might be fun. So yeah, right. As long as he doesn't. Actually, I don't really care if he winds up drunk in my bed. As long as he like makes the bed and maybe cleans the sheets afterwards. That's the third story. The last one you're gonna hate, but I just wanted to wedge this one in here because I've been seeing a lot of people from our database going into the Trump administration. So I just wanted to highlight this trend. The latest is FedEx board member David Steiner. He's the new head of the U.S. Postal Service, which I guess sounds fine at first glance, but then you think, wait, that's a conflict of interest. FedEx and the U.S. Postal Service. But then when you look and see who this guy is, he was the CEO of Waste Management. The whole thing just sounds weird to me. He also... FedEx had the audacity to call him the lead independent director, despite the fact that he was there for 16 years, which in jurisdictions like the UK, he wouldn't even be considered independent anymore. Not to mention that he held $15 million of FedEx shares. This guy was not independent at all. So he really is the perfect kind of crony for the Trump administration. So congratulations.
Yeah. This is like
not a
low level graph. It's not that interesting to me. This is like
and it's not an important story. I just wanted to wedge it in there. All right, you vote. Come on, vote.
That's your angst.
Yeah.
This one's really hard because the first three are so in our wheelhouse.
There's one clear winner to me.
I mean, I think it has to be Andrew Whitty stepping down. I think
that's
really? Yeah.
I might have to overrule you. Over this beautiful mess at Kohl's. This is really our wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, but both are so much our wheelhouse. And John R. Tyson
that's
getting
our
put
wheelhouse.
on the board is also like this.
We could call it a three-way governance tie. Let's do it. Come on.
It's really good. All right, it's never happened before in the history of Business Pants Friday shows. It's never happened before.
It's a
three-way win.
For anyone who pays attention to governance stories, this is a trifecta of governance magic, right? Because this is the reason to pay attention, and the fact that Kohl's investors have already come in their pajamas and said, "Wait, what's going on?
Who are you? Where are we?
Something happening?" All right.
Let's do good leads of the week. I've only got one. Actually,
I only have one too, thank God. Maybe that's not thank God. I actually tried to have more.
I tried. I'm finding good stories. Like you were pulling stories. I go so Damien pulls looks at 10,000 stories a month and pulls several thousand of them for us to root through and figure out like what's core, what's not. Our research team is a research team of one. Basically, it's Damien doing the research and I show up. I couldn't find anything in your polls. I went off on my own and did my own, maybe there's something like out there somewhere. I found nothing to feel good about except for this one. That was all I could find. Why don't you go first?
Mine's a kind of an old-fashioned good list. This is how much I struggled. Boulder's landmark. Oh God, I can't even talk. You know why I hate this? Because why are we saying Boulder? Can't we just say Colorado? Colorado's landmark lawsuit against Suncor and Exxon can proceed. Colorado Supreme Court rules. Oh, I guess this is out of the city of Boulder. That's why.
Yeah, Boulder actually.
So they're
sued
suing.
them.
Of course, the Colorado Supreme Court is okay with it, and I'm sure the Supreme Court of the United States and the Trump administration is going to get rid of this. But hey, I don't know. I got to find something somewhere, and this is fitting too because I think your good list involves Exxon. Too, right? Like suing.
Yeah, it's a double Exxon.
Oh, double Exxon. Yeah.
I will say of yours. This lawsuit was filed in 2018, and all they said is it can proceed.
So really, this is the state of like the appellate courts and appeals in the United States. Is that 7 years later they're
They
getting the
actually
go
are
ahead.
the lawsuit. They
So,
actually have the
well,
right to go ahead.
this should show you something about corporate power, right? I mean that they've even been able to hold this up for 7 years just by their legal team is
Oh,
just
just wait, and when they do
audacious.
discovery, or if they even
Yeah.
get that far,
It's
it's going to take forever.
Yeah.
Mine is better, so we're just going to
Okay,
go with mine.
fine.
NLPC, the National Legal Policy Center.
Which is one of the three-headed anti-woke ESG anti-woke. They think they're anti-ESG, but actually they are ESG machines.
They're doing
right?
ESG, but they're anti-woke is really
They're very
kind of what
right,
they are.
very right-wing, very Christian warrior.
NLPC
Yeah.
urges ExxonMobil shareholders to vote against election of CEO Darren Woods for board on ExxonMobil's
I like that.
2025 proxy ballot. So
I like that.
the NLPC is running a vote no campaign on Darren Woods.
Just him?
Want to know why? Just him. Do you
Yeah,
want to
tell
know
me
why?
I don't care. I'm for it. Go ahead.
Because they think Darren Woods is too woke. I'm not kidding.
For suing
After last year, no,
basically
this is like
Greenpeace last year?
he's still talking about carbon occasionally.
Oh.
And after last year, when he sued his own shareholder to stop them asking
them.
about carbon,
Yeah.
the NLPC is now
they're
running
not-
a vote no
They're
campaign.
not paying attention either.
What on earth is this?
Because this is your friend. I mean, this is your friend, NLPC. In fact, this is, if you're going to make a poster campaign against like anti-woke CEOs, anti-green CEOs, Darren Woods is on the poster.
Here's the greatest part about this. This appeals, the ESG crowd should be saying, yes, we should vote out Darren Woods. He voted against our own, he sued our own investor. He's cutting their, targets for carbon. You can vote against him for the exact opposite reason that the NLPC wants to vote against him. They're saying he's too woke, and you could say he's not woke enough when it comes
What's
to climate
happening,
change.
Matt? What is going on?
It's all converging.
Why does nobody pay? Are we just so smart that we're dumb, or are we so dumb that we're smart? Like, are we getting everything wrong?
I think everything just came full circle. We're morons, and it just comes all the way around at some point.
I just don't understand anything anymore. NLPC, you also should reach out. I'll help you because I'm gladly help you with a campaign of which CEOs to actually
all of them.
Full disclosure, NLPC, I have been advocating that no CEOs in America should be on any boards. They should not be on their boards.
It is structurally, in what other place in your life do you get to sit on the committee that decides how you're doing at your job?
Think about how horrible that is. Imagine just working in a school. I'm thinking of like my mom who worked in the school system. She used to talk a lot about the principal and the superintendent. Imagine like in the meetings where you have like committees that oversee the superintendent or whatever, that the superintendent is also sitting there. Like she has to,
it's like
they're talking about how to deal with administration maybe, but the principal and the superintendent are sitting there while they're trying to come up with game plans.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that because it's like, imagine if at the school, every kid had a shiv and they were stabbing each other. And the principal was the superintendent. So the superintendent calls like the management of the school together, chairs the meeting, but they're the principal. It's like,
well, both of our examples are terrible, but hopefully you get the point. The point is that the board is meant to act as a oversight board. It's an oversight group for the management. You're overseeing management, people, which at a minimum is why no CEO should ever be the chair. That's the very bare minimum. But I would take it a step further and say CEO shouldn't be on the board at all. But NLPC, you're weird. I mean,
all I know is I love it. I love it. It's great. It's good. I
love it for
that.
backwards reason. That's definitely the winner this week. Yeah.
All right, now let's do some assholes. That's quick good lists. It's so sad that good list is that short.
I can't wrap my head around that. Like they're attacking the CEO of Exxon who sued Arjuna Capital and followed this last year, in a kind of a groundbreaking precedent, right? Suing your own shareholders, and they specifically targeted the green shareholders, the environmentalists, which we complained about for months.
Well, the NLPC, I will say, did not mention Arjuna or follow this anywhere in their exempt
So
solicitation
maybe they don't
for
know
the vote.
about
No,
it. Maybe they
I
just
think they,
maybe haven't heard those
I
podcasts.
think
We
they
should send
didn't
them our
see
podcast.
that. Yeah,
they didn't
I
see
think they
that.
closed their eyes for 2024,
Okay,
and they just
okay,
they
fair.
just opened.
So
them.
they're just ignorant. Fair. Okay, let's go.
Asshole
Asshole
of the week. I got 3 options for you.
All right.
Number 1, NASDAQ. Here's the headline I saw. NASDAQ supports Texas Senate Bill 29, strengthening corporate governance and business growth in the state. This is Ed Knight, who is the head of government and legal affairs at NASDAQ. His quote in the press release, quote, Senate Bill 29 is a milestone for corporate governance in Texas. By embracing smart, innovation-focused regulation like SB 29, Texas is showing the world what it means to lead on economic growth and modern, clear governance principles.
Oh,
wow. And then he
How
goes
much money
on.
Is he getting for that?
Then he goes on to commend Senator Brian Hughes, Representative Morgan Meyer, and Governor Greg Abbott. So he's actually naming actual government officials.
Who is Ed Knight? Who is he? He's executive
Okay, we'll
vice
come back
chair
to that
of
in
NASDAQ.
one second. But the major features of this bill include a piece that's basically a Musk board independence rule. So if a company has a major transaction, say like a massive pay package or a merger acquisition or something like that, or a massive investment, and they set up a separate committee for that. And this is what they did when Musk wanted to move to Texas, and they also did it for Musk's pay package after the Delaware court struck it down. If they set up a separate committee, there is what they're calling they legally have to have an evidentiary process in front of a court where the court will say the people on this committee are independent. The evidentiary process happens in a Texas court in front of a Texas judge, and the judge will say, yeah, you're all independent. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then the reason why this matters is because they can exclude any lawsuits or challenges under the ordinary business rule after that evidentiary committee hearing.
Right.
So that means
it's a management friendly, CEO friendly. Yeah.
That means all you have to do is set up every company who incorporates in Texas. All they got to do if they want to do anything, like let's pay off the government of Ghana for something. Let's do something like blatantly corrupt. Let's set up a separate committee, go to court, have the court in Texas say the people on the committee are independent by whatever made up standard that is, right? Because they're not looking at social independence. They're not looking at like economic dependence. They're looking purely at statutory independence. And they'll say, yes, you're independent. Then they can exclude lawsuits on the ordinary business rule. I mean, and it only works in gray zones. If it's a straight illegal, obviously it doesn't work. But all of these gray zones, the horrible secret snippy things that companies do, they can get away with it in Texas.
Well, what is NASDAQ's business angle here? Do we know? Am I missing something?
You're not missing anything. They have an office now they set up in Texas to start listing Texas companies.
So this is they're gonna gain a lot of money off of this so-called Dexit, Delaware exit. Is that what NASDAQ is doing? That's
it. They also
how does NASDAQ gain off of that though? I don't even do you understand
there's listing fees, there's ongoing listing fee, there's all sorts of consulting fees and stuff that they could derive from this. But in Texas now, this bill allows a company to refuse books and records requests if, and this is not a joke, if the company has a reasonable suspicion that you will sue them, then they don't have to give you the books and records until you sue them and then ask for it in discovery. That means if I need to inspect books and records as an owner to see if there's a lawsuit, they can say, well, you could sue us. So sue us first, and then we have to give it to you. They basically are saying you have to spend, as an owner of this company, your own money to figure out whether or not we've done anything illegal. It is wildly company friendly.
What? I thought you were going to say is Wild West, right? This is the Wild West of corporate governance. We're going backwards in time here.
You can't even sue the company for a derivative lawsuit unless you have a group of shareholders that owns 3% or more of the shares. You're excluded from suing the company unless you can find enough shareholders to have 3%.
I will give them credit for this. It does sound all very Texas. This does sound Texas-y to me.
And is there anything more Texas than in Ed Knight's biography? Ed Knight given the quote from NASDAQ. This is what it says, quote, a Texas native, Knight received his Bachelor of Arts with honors in Latin American Studies from the University of Texas at Austin.
Sounds
and
very
his
woke.
JD from the University of Texas Law School. He's a long-term Texas native, loves Texas, does not like business.
I'll tell you why this does sound
investor business.
This does sound like a pure money grab to me because I don't know the current state of Ed Knight's politics. First of all, he's not on the board of NASDAQ. He is called an executive vice chair. I don't know what an executive vice chair really does. It says that he manages global government relations. But really what he was he used to be NASDAQ's general counsel until 2019. It sounds like a made-up job to keep him on the payroll. But he was part of Obama's transition team. This is not necessarily an old school Republican, because I was thinking immediately like, oh, this is very Trumpian, very Muskian. And maybe this guy has gone that way now, but I don't know. I mean, this might just be an old-fashioned money grab, right? NASDAQ is making some coin through this Texas thing, right? And
look,
who knows?
Adina Freeman, the CEO of NASDAQ, has set up a rule that got challenged, and,
I thought you were
and
going
they
to
were
say
forced to
she
take
should
away.
know better. I thought you were going to say that.
Like that you have more women on the board and you disclose diversity statistics, all sorts of stuff like that, all sorts of very forward progressive disclosures. Did she not see this press release? Like, why are we supporting?
Well, they backtracked. Didn't they backtrack from that rule recently? Yeah.
In the actual press release, it's amazing. And this is on NASDAQ.com. This isn't like I saw this on Futurism or New York Times. They actually write potential positives of putting out this press release and potential negatives. Included in the potential negatives of putting out the press release is the press release highlights NASDAQ's advocacy efforts and presence in Texas, which may imply the company is feeling pressure to strengthen its community and political ties in response to competitive and regulatory challenges. They literally are laying out, you could criticize us for this press release for this reason, right? Mm-hmm. But nowhere in there does it say, this sucks for shareholders. Like, we are supporting a bill that sucks for shareholders.
It just sucks for risk control. What about good old-fashioned risk control?
It is fascinating to me that you would put this out at all. Yeah. Why would you? Don't say anything. You don't have to thank Texas. You don't have to bend over and thank Texas.
Did this just come out of Ed Knight's his personal notebook?
Well, that's the thing.
Did it come on NASDAQ letterhead?
It came out. It's on NASDAQ's
Maybe
website.
He was riding his bike around Austin, and he kind of dictated it into his iPhone. Right? I mean, maybe this didn't come. Maybe Adina didn't see this. I'm trying to give her some credit here. I know she knows better. I know
that's
she
what
knows
I mean.
What this means.
I'm not sure she saw this
because we're just starting the new empire of CEO power. Right? It's just that's what this is.
I mean, we're also just literally kissing the feet. We are washing and kissing the feet of whatever political parties in power now. We're just going from state to state. How come there's not a Connecticut one that says, we think Connecticut's doing a great job at, enforcing their new regulation? You're going to press release every single one of them? Or are you just doing Texas because you need to suck off Texas for a little while?
Well, I got to say this is, and your anger aside, this is actually more important than ever because we don't really live in an age anymore. I'm looking at you, NASDAQ, looking at you, Ed and Adina. We don't really live in an age anymore where the big things we sell are boxes of tissues, right, and ketchup, right? So speaking, I'm going to tease one of my headlines of the week. Speaking of Elon Musk, which is really what this is all about. Again, this is about Elon Musk. This is about the Delaware exit. This is about giving CEOs full power. He's talking about how everyone's going to want their personal robots in the future, but he warns of Terminator-style risks, meaning world destruction, right? The robots taking over and destroying the world. He also said that, he talking about AI, this is 20% chance, 20%, Matt, 1 out of 5 chance that it destroys humanity. It destroys the Earth.
Is that his number?
So this is actually the wrong
He also
time.
said we'd be on Mars in 2 years.
Okay,
so
but what I'm
not
trying
sure.
to tell you, Matt, is this is actually the wrong time to give CEOs more unfettered control. This is absolutely the wrong time for entities like Texas to do that. We need more risk control. It not only does it benefit shareholders, but it does benefit something called humanity, right? Because again, we're not really just selling tires anymore, right? We're selling a lot more potentially destructive things. So I don't know what NASDAQ is thinking. It really,
What are you doing?
It's ugly.
NASDAQ?
It's ugly. Yeah.
You assholes. What on earth do you do? All right, so they're option number one.
Whew, exhausting. Can I just
Option
vote on
number
that
two.
one?
No, because there's a better one as option number two.
Well, that's your opinion.
Stewardship teams.
Oh, here we go.
It's like the same
every week you do
every
this one.
week,
Yeah.
except that here is the headline: Harley Davidson leaders survive proxy fight.
Well, that's true. That's true.
That headline, first of all, the 8K I don't think has come out yet.
Yeah,
but
it looked yesterday. Wasn't out.
They haven't disclosed it yet, but they did, so that you don't have a vote total. But they did say that 48% of the shares voted withheld support from Zeitz. This is Wall Street Journal reporting.
He's Jochen Zeitz. He's already stepped down as
CEO.
CEO, but he's hanging around, I guess, to pick the next CEO. Nobody
That
really
means
knows why.
he just squeaked by at 52%, particularly since the bylaws there say 50% you have to offer your resignation.
No,
Not the board has to accept the resignation.
Yes. They don't
But
have to
you have to
accept it.
offer it, right?
Yeah.
And
I
40%,
offer my resignation to you daily, but you don't even open my email.
I didn't even look at your emails.
Yeah.
At 40% withheld support from Thomas Lindbarger and Sarah Levinson. And that's according to people who are familiar with the tally.
So those were the
Wall Street
3
Journal
targeted
reporting.
directors, right? They targeted 3 directors in the withhold campaign, or was it 4? No, 3. Sarah Levinson, Thomas Lindbarger, Jochen Zeitz. Yeah.
But here's the problem. So we know H Partners owns 9% of the company. So you could take like 10% of that as effectively as rote. Like that's they were going to get that vote no
if
matter
they
what.
actually voted for them. Yeah.
that would be
Or maybe
would
by
be fabulous.
mistake.
But
Maybe
investors,
they had someone at Citigroup doing the voting, and they did a fat finger vote. Yeah.
stewardship teams. Seriously? Did you just read the ISS report? Levinson has been a director since Clinton's first term. She has a check mark in the proxy for independence 30 years after she started on this board.
Yeah.
You know what her background was? She's an ex-NFL and MTV executive, and she's on the board of a company that makes motorcycles.
Yeah, she's been there so long, Matt, that I heard her say one time that she doesn't even fear going blind because she knows her way around the place so well that it doesn't matter. Yeah.
She started at one point, this should infuriate the anti-woke crowd. At one point, she started a woman-focused.com media company called Club Mom, right? Like she's like, where's the anti-DEI anger at
that
Levinson?
could be anti-woke. A mom could be anti-woke, right? Is it a mom with a husband at least? It has to be a mom with a husband.
It didn't say.
That's the proper type of mom, just so you know.
But here's the thing. We'll find out, and we won't find out for a couple months until the filings come out, if BlackRock and Vanguard voted to support Harley directors. If they voted to support...
Yeah. Well, can you remind me the story? Wasn't it ISS that said that they were not supporting this campaign?
ISS's fuckwit analysis that said they said maybe good to have Zeitz on the board. Like it appears that this is they said vote for the Harley.
Yeah.
People,
vote for all,
right?
Yeah, vote for all
vote
3.
for all of them.
But that's the difference in this case, right? That's
because there were more positives than negatives without any measurement of the positives or negatives.
I'm going to be politically fair on this one. They didn't know what to say. How about that? They didn't know how to. They had a feeling and they went with it. Okay, okay, Matt. I said they had a feeling and they just went with it. All right. So just be fair.
And then in the same news cycle,
yeah,
BlackRock wins 67% support for pay as CEO Fink assures on global economy. Each of the director nominees was easily elected with average support over 98% at BlackRock.
I like that one. I don't get that one either.
98%.
Maybe they're afraid. There has to be fear against voting against a BlackRock director, right? Because BlackRock they own basically every company. They
Doesn't
must be
this?
afraid of them. They
We
must be afraid
spent our
of them.
last proxy countdown, not this, a week ago Thursday, talking about BlackRock and
Yeah, we're
this,
talking about
this
Hans
upcoming vote.
Vesberg, the CEO
We
of
talked
Verizon's on
about
their board. Yeah,
a shareholder proposal brought by Jing Zhao,
yeah.
who
Who I love.
who
A classicist.
basically is like he's into classical
Aristotle.
literature. He
Yeah.
quoted Aristotle in the shareholder proposal, talking about how BlackRock is effectively an oligarchy.
Yeah.
And that the proposal was you should have in your bylaws, for every single director slot, there should effectively be 2 directors nominated.
Yeah, he stole my
plus
idea. I get
one
it. I get
extra.
it. Yeah, everyone steals my ideas.
So that it's a contested election everywhere.
Sure.
And BlackRock said no.
Yeah.
But we did a whole show talking about how it is an oligarchy and the amazing conflict of interest. And BlackRock owns BlackRock, right? Like it owns a tremendous amount of its own shares through its funds. And that the companies that BlackRock owns, BlackRock votes. If their CEO is on BlackRock's board, they always vote for every single CEO board, right? Like, and the case was Verizon, who we covered this week. BlackRock votes for Verizon because Hans Vesberg's on BlackRock's board. So you can't vote off Hans Vesberg from Verizon's board if you're BlackRock because you think that guy's good enough to put on your board.
Yeah.
But he's horrible when you actually look at performance metrics.
Not to mention that he's way too busy to be on BlackRock's board. He's on the audit committee. Remember we talked about how they met 15 times, and you told a story about how audit committee members are the most overworked members of the board. They
no doubt. Yeah.
More meetings, more paperwork. So how is Hans? I mean, Hans is he's trying to deal with. I'm trying to get an upgrade on one of my phones on my Verizon plan. I know Hans is hard to work at that. So how can he also do the work of the audit committee in the BlackRock?
I mean, isn't like human capital 101, like capitalism 101, performance? Like you like
according to the data at
saying, if you don't
freeflowanalytics.com,
perform, we're going to fire you. He says that to every single engineer. Mark Zuckerberg just said it's all about merit and performance. They have performance reviews for every single person. They have grades inside in these companies. Everyone gets measured for their performance, and they get measured on like a less than annual basis. They have quarterly meetings and biannual meetings, and then you're getting grades, and your bonuses are built off your performance. Your bonus is built off your performance. Why is it the only place that performance doesn't seem to matter is on a board when you can demonstrate easily that every single board member on a board underperforms and they all get elected anyway? There's no interest in performance for the people that investors, stewardship teams are hiring to do a job of protecting their asset. Harley Davidson's performance as a stock has been horrible. It's not good. They got backlash from for DEI, and then they got it backlash for their removal of DEI. They're doing everything wrong. It's been a stagnant stock. What performance are you paying this board for exactly? It's unbelievable to me that that someone didn't get voted out.
Well, there's 2 things here. First of all, I think everyone's afraid to vote against BlackRock directors. Second of all, I think maybe they're just voting because they want the Larry Fink to keep his job, and that's the only job that the board has at BlackRock is just don't fire the CEO. So they're happy.
I mean, they also have Caputo and Wagner on the board who are co-founders. So you've got plenty of founders on the BlackRock board.
I'll bring up that quote. I was going to bring up Bob Monks. He called the Sears board. He called them full of non-performing assets. I love that.
There's got to be non-performing assets.
There has to be at least a few non. First of all, BlackRock, your board's way too big. Everyone knows that 18 is unmanageable, but there have to be a few non-performing assets. But you know what? And let me just say this, and then we can move on. Maybe you don't believe completely in our methodologies and how we quantify the performance of directors on corporate boards, but can we at least, to Matt's point, can we at least start the conversation? Can we at least start the generation and the era of measuring the performance of board directors? Because yes, we're living in this now Trump 2.0 so-called meritocracy. So this is one of the more important groups of people that we need to measure their performance, right? I mean, the American public is reading about the stupid Elon Musk emails asking for send a email every week telling me your 5 bullet points of what you're good at or whatever.
Exactly.
So why is this the protected class? Why? So can we at least start? And if you don't, Glass Lewis, ISS, MSCI, whoever. If you don't agree with the way we do it, then enter the conversation. We at least have to start. We have to start doing this. We have to start supporting this idea that we need to start looking at directors, looking at their performance. We need to start aggressively voting for and against for reasons, and not just because we just support the whole board because we don't know what else to do. Right. So anyway,
I can't figure these are the same investors who voted for Dave Calhoun and his pay package, who voted for. What evidence do you require to do your fucking job?
Well, I will say this, and I'm not going to
What
make fun.
do you require? What is the minimum standard that you hold the director to?
Who do we know who was against BlackRock pay? Was it ISS or Glass Lewis or both?
They both were. I think everybody was.
Can we at least just hear from someone from those teams? I'm not even going to make fun of either one of you. I'll let Matt do that. Can you at least just tell us why you would shut down pay, say no to pay, but not target any directors? No directors are held complicit in this. Come on, tell me why. I just want to know why.
If you're an investor and you listen to this, if you're on a stewardship team, what is your minimum standard? I cannot for the life of me figure out.
Why are they not responsible for their efforts and their work?
Why no person is ever held to some minimum standard?
Then you should be angry that they get paid, right? Because it's great for their career just to be on these boards. We know this. The networking potential is massive. So you should be arguing, ISS and Glass Lewis, you should be arguing against director pay, since no one is actually overseeing the work they do or articulating their performance, right? So why are they getting paid in the first place? I don't even know.
It should be, they should get paid entirely in stock options.
Give it
and
to charity.
If the stock doesn't go up above a benchmark, they should get zero.
They should get zero because, again, because the networking potential here is massive when you join these boards. So if you're so ISS and Glass Lewis, I'm going to repeat. If you're willing to hate the pay package, but not willing to hold anyone responsible, what you're saying is that they're not actually doing jobs. It's like volunteer work, so we don't want to blame them, right? So then you should argue that you should say, I support Damian Rollis's new initiative that all director pay should go to charity. Because you know what? I think some charities need it this year now that Trump 2.0 has taken over.
Yeah, I think you just give it to Free Float.
Give it to USAID and Free Float.
All right, my last
the coffee's
option
hitting
here.
me too much. We got to move forward.
My last option here, and I'm going to shortchange it because it's not that interesting. Looks press releases. I saw this press release, and I don't know why. It just triggered me. It says Lumen Technologies appoints Michelle Goldberg and Steve McMillan to board, strengthening company's AI and digital strategy.
Oh, so they do work, directors. They do have a function.
Well, I looked at both of their bios, and I looked up both of these people. Michelle Goldberg is a partner at a venture capital firm, and Steve McMillan is the president of Teradata Corporation, which does cloud data. Like they're cloud warehouses.
That's digital, isn't it?
So I thought, I guess you could say Steve McMillan's some sort of digital strategy, but nowhere on either of them. In fact, I read an entire interview that Steve McMillan just did, who sounds like a very nice person, about AI, in which he said, one day Teradata needs to think about how we're going to use AI, right? How on earth are we calling this strengthening the company's AI and digital strategy?
Matt, because they own computers.
It's like literally you could put out a press release about board members that says anything. Well, no one will ever ask a question.
That's why I'm glad you got to this point. Again, because we're still in this weird world. 2025, it's still at this protected class of people where they don't have to answer to anything.
There's no answers.
It's all made up, and they're going to get paid regardless. It's crazy.
You know what? They're going to put in the proxy at Lumen Technologies. They're going to write in things like, we want to bring in more digital and AI strategy, and we've brought in these two directors. And no one will even look to see if they have actual AI or digital strategy.
Yeah. Not to mention that they will join the board before the first vote, before the shareholder vote. They will be already on the board. They're already in the job. And as we know, what's the average vote for director?
96%. Yeah.
So they're gonna get elected no matter what. So the shareholders actually have no input over anything. So anyway, I'm not voting for that one though.
Yeah, I know no one's going to. So it's NASDAQ stewardship teams and press releases.
I'm sick of hearing about stewardship teams. They need to call us more frequently, and we can help them. The winner to me, the main trigger for me was definitely this NASDAQ story.
Yeah, there you go.
This is just scary to me. All jokes aside, this is the very wrong time to be like pushing more power over to management and CEOs. This is just a wrong time in history.
As if
it.
they didn't have enough
Wrong
power. As if anybody was sitting around being like, you know who doesn't have enough power anymore? Corporations.
It's like playing a chess grandmaster who's kicking your ass, right? And then someone hands him another queen for his right, he can put it wherever he or she can put it wherever he wants on the table. It's like, what are we doing? I mean, come on.
I don't understand it at all. I don't understand it at all. All right, let's get out headlines, winners, predictions. Let's get out of here.
Whew, I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go quickly on mine. I already referenced one of mine. You're gonna hate both of mine because they're both Elon Musk related.
Already hate them.
Elon Musk says everyone will want their personal robot, but warns of Terminator-style risks. I don't know how any of this is okay, Matt. How is any of this okay? How is this fine? How is this okay? How?
No, don't like it.
But thank you, Ed Knight at NASDAQ, for basically
making
Elon
Musk
do anything he wants to do. The second headline, unfortunately, again, Elon Musk, but I just couldn't avoid this one. It just was Elon Musk's AI, that's Grok, Matt, says it was, quote, instructed by my creators at XAI to accept the narrative of white genocide in South Africa. I mean, Is that not the weirdest headline you've seen in a while? That's just weird.
It's like if Geppetto was a Nazi, right? Like, that's really...
And it just shows you the scary limitation of AI in general is that all it really takes is one person to get into the code one morning and just make it do something horrible.
That's turn the thing on. Turn the white genocide knob from off to on.
And most of these AI companies seem to be run either by college dropouts or assholes. So it's
school man flakes.
Yeah. So what do we? Okay. All right.
I got two.
Go ahead.
The first one actually describes why there's so much antipathy from conservatives about climate change. Because it turns out the atmosphere is actually super woke. Here's the headline. Women contribute less to climate heating emissions than men, study finds.
Okay. Well, you know,
see?
See, I love this headline because it does give you a different understanding of the world, which is that it really is the men in power who are contributing to the climate crisis, right? So it does give you another understanding of why these types of men in power hate the
atmosphere,
climate scientists so much, right?
I just think they're pissed at the actual atmosphere because it reminds them that women are better at stuff, right? Like I think that's... and my second one
was why you need women in leadership people. This is why I do these stupid shows. Come on. Matt, I'm going to repeat to you. It's like, what is it? Like less than 10% of companies have a woman in power? I mean, it's still ridiculous. 2025. No one talks about it. No one talks about it. It's stupid.
I do have an Elon Musk one also. Elon Musk's pro-Trump PAC failed to pay swing state petition signers, new suit alleges.
Oh, it's shocking. Yeah.
You remember when he told you he was going to pay you for your vote and he didn't pay you? Yeah. you got duped by a guy who literally pays no one that he doesn't want to. That's my headlines. And then the women win, I think, the headlines. Sure, yeah. Who's your winner for the week?
Olivia Tyson.
Ooh, I like that answer.
For being the Nepo baby that no one is ever really going to notice because she's standing next to John R. Tyson. She's going to be the winner no matter what, right? I mean, she's just always going to be the better Nepo baby at Tyson Foods, always.
I did see a picture of Olivia Tyson at a debutante ball, and I'm pretty sure she's 14 years old. I don't know what she's doing on the board.
Well, maybe your internet is backdated, like the options that Steve Helmsley had at United Healthcare, yeah.
The winner for me was the A in AI.
Oh.
Because Elon is actually proving you don't need the intelligence part. You just need the artificial part. That's all we should stop calling it AI. Grok is not AI. It's just A.
Yeah, where's RFK Jr. anyway to get rid of it? I thought he hates all those like artificial ingredients.
He does. Yeah.
It's like what about normal intelligence? What about non-college dropout intelligence? Can we get back to that?
No, we can't. No. Predictions?
This is my prediction. Stupid. It's just a plug for a podcast I'm on this week that I want people to go listen to and download. After Disney CEO Bob Iger hears me on the Responsible Investor podcast with Gina Gambetta, he sends a cease and desist letter forcing me off all podcasts until 1,001 years after the death of the next pope. The next pope.
Oh, it's a king clause, but for popes. I like
Yeah, but
that.
check out the Responsible Investor podcast. I had fun. We talked about ESG proposals in the Trump 2.0 era. So thanks to Gina.
Proxy season so far. We'll see.
Yeah.
I haven't
Gina.
heard it. I actually, I might actually go download it.
You don't need to hear me anymore.
I have a short prediction. My prediction is that ExxonMobil sues the NLPC for its exempt solicitation, and the result of the lawsuit is no one knows who to root for.
Oh,
are we rooting for NLPC? Are we rooting for Exxon?
In that case. I would root for Exxon.
I mean,
I really would.
we're just, I don't know who to,
really
I don't know
would.
how to do it. That's Hazelnut Rawls. I'm your analyst, Tom Matt Viscardi. We are Free Float. Come back next week where we got a show on Tuesday and we got a show on Friday out of the Free Float Media Business Pants. We've got Proxy Countdown on Thursday and our sister pod by Mike Levin and Ann Lipton. Shareholder Primacy comes out next Wednesday. Go get all of those. We are talking, if you want to do a podcast, we are looking for another host who's an interesting human being, because we have people lined up.
Do they have to be a human being?
They can be A, but not AI. We've already got the I. We just need the A. So if you're interested in something like that, you let us know. Otherwise, we'll be back next week. Until then, goodbye.